an in-depth step-by-step mechanic guide to make the Chamber of Screams 2-star boss easier. First things first, you want to set a tank party marker for the tank and set party pins 1 through 5 from the center of the room to the edge of the boss room. This is super important for the machine gun mechanic and the zombie order mechanic, which will be shown later on. Next, throughout the whole boss fight, you want to have your player view slightly to the left of the boss while attacking it. This will make it much easier to see the boss's coned execution mechanic. Side note, if you've tried this view angle and prefer not to do this with your player view, then this is completely up to you, though this is what I would definitely recommend if you're struggling with this mechanic. For this coned execution mechanic, it's best explained with an example. Here the player view is to the left side of the boss, meaning the center point or mouse point will not be on the boss, but instead to the side of it. This allows you to see the blood drop animation much easier when the mechanic starts. As you can see in this example, if your center point is on the boss, the 3 blood drops blend in with all the players' attack animations and also with the boss's attack animations and colors. This ends up only giving you time to react to the red coned area that appears on the floor, which just about gives you 1 full second to react. This makes the mechanic much harder. The next part to this coned execution mechanic is timing the last blood drop. Only 3 players will be marked with the blood drop and it will show 3 times before the red coned area appears on the floor. At all times, you want to be aware if any player is to the side of you, as any player can be marked and the coned area will appear exactly on all 3 players' positions after the 3rd blood drop. This means you want one side with a cone space between you and that player, or even no players on that side. You also never want to be standing behind the tank or a melee teammate, as this is where 2 coned AoE attacks can stack, causing huge damage and the execution. Each cone can easily do a maximum of 9,000 damage and 7,000 minimum damage. On the first blood drop, you should check if the next closest player to the left or the right of you is also marked with a blood drop. Whichever side has the player that is not marked is the side you want to sprint morph to on the 3rd blood drop. In this case, the left side is the better and safer option, as no players have been marked on that side. However, here the right side is chosen to show what the cone gap dodge looks like and if the player to the left of us was marked. Finally, just as the 3rd blood drop rises, this is when you want to start your sprint morph and commit to the side you have chosen. Another important example is when the boss is not in the center of the map and you have not been blood marked, but the players to the side of you have. Here you want to run to the open side as soon as the 2nd blood drop disappears. It's also important to note that the boss basically uses this attack every minute and can combo it with any of its other attacks. Now that we've gone over the coned execution mechanic, we can finally start the boss. When first attacking the boss, it will start with its purple diamond wrath attack. Simply movement dodge this attack by pressing any movement direction key together with the dodge key. After this, you should check where the active blood tank is on the edges of the boss room, as this will only show once the boss starts. Once you've found the tank, you want to move towards it so that you have the shortest amount of distance needed to move to it and use it. The next attack mechanic the boss can use within the first 10 seconds will either be the coned execution attack mentioned at the beginning or the circular arrow shots. For the circular arrow shots, simply move out of the circular zone either by movement dodging, sprint morphing, or mobility skills. If the circular arrow shots were used first, the boss can combo this attack with its coned execution attack. Again, just so you're aware, the coned execution attack is one of the most important mechanics to get used to and understand, as the boss will use it every minute, so if needed, go over it again. Next, it will also start using its sprint mechanic. Here it will randomly choose one player, teleport them to the front of the room and stun them. The boss will then start sprinting to the chosen player from the other side of the room to deal a high damaging attack. To prevent this, 2 to 3 players need to move right next to the stunned player and stand block the boss's attack. If this has been done correctly, then the chosen player will be able to move out of the boss's attack range. If not, the boss can deal 9,500 maximum damage. Right after its sprint attack, it will use another purple wrath attack or its machine gun. So after the sprint attack ends, move behind the tank while watching for its purple wrath attack. The tank will be able to soak the machine gun damage if it is in front of the boss's targeted player. Next, after this attack, it can instantly use its coned execution AoE. Next up is the zombie order mechanic. Here the boss will say, now get in order. For first timers, the first thing to do is stop attacking the boss and then move towards one of the active blood tanks on the edge of the boss room while having your camera angle looking at the boss. You then want to check if a zombie is chasing you while moving to the blood tank, as you want to dodge its purple attacks while still looking at the boss. Each time you're hit by one of the zombies' purple attacks, you'll take 1000 damage. The zombies can easily use this attack 4 times in a row in quick successions. Also, every time the boss uses this ordering mechanic, after the first 3 seconds, the boss will use a purple wrath attack, so be ready to dodge this while moving towards the blood tank, or you'll take 5000 damage. Next, if a zombie is chasing you, then you want to check if the eye icon above you is open or closed. If it is closed, you will not be able to see the zombie number above the zombie until the blood tank has been used by another player or you. If the eye icon is open and a zombie is chasing you, you will instantly be able to see the number on the zombie. The number will always appear on the zombie, so you should continuously be checking it while dodging all mechanics of the boss. Once you have seen your zombie number, move to the same number pin marked on the floor. For number 1, you want to be the closest to the boss, and for number 5, you want to be the furthest away from the boss. You will have 7 seconds to do all of this from when the boss first says, now get in order. After 7 seconds, the boss will use the voice cue, awaken your dark side, and you will be stuck in your position. If not ordered correctly, the boss will execute 1 or 2 players who were chosen to be ordered. Finally, at the end of the mechanic, the boss will use its wrath attack once more. A few extra tips for players with zombie numbers is if you forget to instantly run to the blood tank or are unable to see your zombie number, then stay at the number 2 marker range, as there is some room for error for the spacing mechanic. If all 3 players are at least decent distance from each other, then you will not be executed. Another room for error is if 2 of the 3 players are in the correct positions. Another variation is if you are number 3, you can be the furthest away without being in line with 1 and number 2. There will also be only 3 zombie numbers for the boss's first 40% of HP. Once the boss reaches 60% HP, there will be 5 zombie numbers, meaning 5 players will have a zombie chasing them, where the 4 is shown as a line through the 3 lines and the 5 will be shown as an X below the 3 lines. As mentioned earlier, you should try position yourself close to the blood tank at all times. Adding to this, as soon as he begins his laugh is when you should move to the active blood tank. So you should be sprinting to the tank before the boss room starts filling with shadows or while it's filling with shadows. Mobility skills can help with this, as you don't want to use up all your stamina from sprint morphing, as you need to dodge its purple wrath attacks. It does not matter who activates the blood tank, it just needs to be done as quick as possible. For some parties, a player will be designated to interact with the blood tanks. In this case, it was the tank, although it is better for a DPS or healer, as the tank has a longer distance to travel from the center of the boss room. Moving on, it has a red spinning attack where all players will continuously take damage. This attack is used on the voice cue, I'll skin you all. To avoid the damage, the tank should be running Bastion, and so you want to get as close to the tank as you can to be in range of its Bastion reduction, which will let you take 0 damage. If unable to get to the tank, then you want to use your consumable healing flask or a healing skill like Flash Wave. And that is all the mechanics of the boss covered. From here onwards, the boss will rotate between all the attacks mentioned from the start of the video up until now.